So now, from where I am now, I have to come back. I have literally now have to drop everything because now this situation now has gotten out of hand.
Yes.
Because it's no longer making sense. This is the person you left who was okay.
And
Now,
the only thing that was supposed to be done was the
bone marrow test,
which was not, unfortunately.
It took time for it to be done. So I came back. So by the time I'm coming back, Mom is in Nairobi. So of course, get home, what's going on, pick a few things, move to Nairobi. Yeah. So when I get to Nairobi, actually now, this one was actually a shock. Because when I got to her, basically they were intravenously giving her medication. She could not swallow. And then her veins were not there, so they actually had to put a line on her neck. So she stayed in the facility for about 6 days. They stabilized her. But now you see, again now, this is where you come and look at the medical expenses again, like we were saying in the first place. It becomes crazy.
It's expensive.
It's expensive.
And yet you don't know what you're dealing with.
And then, now that's the thing. So here we are in a situation we are not sure of what we are handling. So by, I think the second day of her being in Nairobi is now actually when we got now the confirmation. Or rather, for me, it was actually now the final confirmation of what she could be suffering from.
Meaning when you went, she was taken to Nairobi, they had to
wait for the results from the hospital in Nakuru because they had already started the test.
They requested
for the results. But at the same time, they had also done their results. But they were not sharing with us.
They wanted to compare notes.
So they wanted to compare notes before they give us the final verdict.
It was something serious.
Yes. So even though by that time, the doctor who had received her had actually hinted to my brother of what could be going on. So actually my bro called me, he's like, whoa, this doctor is talking about this condition. I'm like, okay, that's interesting because the doctor in Nakuru had also hinted on the same. But for it to be confirmed, we need to do the bone marrow test had to be done, no matter what. So by the time I was getting to Nakuru from wherever I was, actually now the lab gave me the result. But by the time I'm getting, okay, thanks to technology, by the time I was getting the results, the only thing I did was just took a picture, then forwarded. So by the time I'm forwarding, my bro receives them, then he's like, whoa,
you saw
this is what this guy was saying. So my brother, of course, was like, okay, what is this?
A shock.
Yeah, it's a shock. Now for me, I go back months. Because don't forget, we are in October. You're in October. So I've been handling her since May. Trying to figure out what's going on. And then I think this doctor, by the time I was taking her to that hospital, it was around September. So September? August, September. Somewhere around there. So, and actually that's when they hinted to me what could be the issue. So I'm imagining this is October, so it's been almost 2 months. And then she's really like deteriorated. Very fast. Very fast. So now here I am, I go to Nairobi to meet with my brother, and then my brother is like, what is multiple myeloma? I'm like, oh, trust me, you've asked me what I was Googling, because actually now that's where I went. Because
that is another language.
No, that's a totally...
Never heard of it.
Exactly.
What is
So I'm like, what is multiple myeloma now?
What do they mean?
What do they mean? Yeah, and then you see when you ask the doctor was like, this is blood cancer. So you're like, okay, blood cancer. For me, the blood cancer I know is leukemia.
Yes.
So I'm like,
which kind of blood cancer
is this we're talking about here? So by the time we're trying to comprehend what's going on, don't forget there's also the financial aspect.
Yeah.
So we've been treating her. Then now today she's in Nairobi. I think we were spending close to 100,000 per day, because by that time they had put her in the high dependency unit.
Yes.
So these are 100,000 going down every day. So first thing I'm like, okay, bro, she's stable. So we talk to the doctor. He's like, yeah, she's stable. It's okay. She's stable. Then we're like, okay, but the bill is a bit crazy for us. It's getting out of hand. What are the options? What options do we have? So he was like, okay, you guys can take her home. Then, because you already know what you're dealing with, start treatment from that side. Then alternatively is look for a hospital in Nairobi, also to be able to handle her.
Which is a bit affordable.
Yeah, so of course we trust me, I can tell you there was confusion. There was confusion because now
if you take her home
again, now I'm going to repeat the process. Is it going to be back and forth in the hospital, or do we maintain her here? Then again, here is where. Yeah, here is where.
And currently it was expensive.
Yes, because by that time we were having this discussion with my brother. I think we had spent around 400,000. So it was, trust me, it was crazy. So we called our dad. So we were like, okay, these are the options on the table. Is whether we bring her back, take her to the local facility where she was being treated initially. Now proceed with this disease because now we know she has multiple myeloma, and then or alternatively is look for a place in Nairobi or a facility in Nairobi that can handle her. So of course the first place we went was Kenyatta National Hospital. I think that's where everybody else runs to when it gets to this situation. So we went to Kenyatta, and whoa, yes, we have a referral letter from where we are coming from. But these guys, they just looked at the referral and we were like, we can't admit her. Take her home first. So, okay.
Why?
So we were like, what? Why? They're like, no, this is from the recommendation. This is something that we can treat from home. So we were like, okay. What is multiple myeloma? Because now we are now totally confused. Because we're like, okay.
And
the condition is, the condition. Don't forget she's still in HDU.
Then you take
her home. And then don't forget we are not in Nakuru, we're in Nairobi.
Yes.
So we're talking about almost 100 and something kilometers back. So we're like, okay, how are we going to handle this? So, okay, then I told my bro, okay, we're in Kenyatta National Hospital. Why don't we go to the private wing? Let's see what they're allowed to tell us. Get to the private wing, they look at it, they're like, okay, this one you don't need to bring her here, you can treat her from home. But if you insist we admit her, for admission, I think they were charging us what? I think it was coming to around 200,000 just for admission. So like, oh, okay, what are we gonna do? So we get out of the comfort, totally confused. So we're like, okay, we need to figure out how we're gonna handle this situation. You know, calling back, you can't call back your dad. Your dad is in Nakuru. You can't call him back because him is already confused. He doesn't even know how to handle what is going on currently.
And then what will you tell?
And then you don't have a solution.
You don't have a solution.
You have a problem, actually, and everybody is looking at you to give, for the solution. So in between all that, God works in mysterious ways. So a cousin of mine calls us and he's like, have you guys found a hospital to take Auntie to? So we're like, no, we are here at Kenyatta National and we are confused. They don't want to take her in. They're telling her to take us, we take her back home, we treat her from home because the condition can be treated from home or can be managed from home. But now she's in HDU.
You can take her home.
So my cousin was like, no, let me see what I can do. So somehow she got us to Kenyatta University teaching and referral. So now we have to go back to where she is, the facility. It was a private hospital. We go back, clear the pending bills. Actually, we spent for that duration, for the about 6 days she was there, we spent over 600,000. So clear that, get her into an ambulance, take her to Kenyatta University.
Yes.
So we get there. Of course, there's admission process, blah blah blah. But the interesting thing, I'd call it interesting. Mom is not talking.
From the HDU, she was talking.
Yes. So now I'm like, okay. So I'm looking at her and I'm like, oh, Mom, kwani nini inaendelea? You know, I'm like, I mean, I left you 2 weeks ago. You okay? I've come here. I've been here for what, 4 days? Because by the time I was getting to Nairobi, she had been here for 2 days. I've been here. Now you're talking. I came here. You're not talking. What is going on?
What is not happening?
And she was like, hii mwili tu inanisumbua.
Hey.
Okay, so I'm like, okay, fine. Mwili inakusumbua, fine.
Could she walk?
No, that day, by the time we were taking her, she couldn't walk. Okay, she couldn't walk. But then she still had pain. Yeah. So of course, KU admits her. The doctor says, take her to oncology. So at the back of my mind, I'm like, oncology is cancer. So I'm like, okay, what is going on here? So when we were living with my brother to go to his place, I tell my bro, you know what? Oncology is cancer. Mom could be having cancer. This multiple myeloma could be cancer. So he's like, okay, let's get to the house and try and figure out what is really, myeloma, what is this? Oncology. Yeah. So of course we get to the house, we call our dad. So he's like, how is she? Yeah, she's been admitted, we transferred her, and then she has multiple myeloma. So my dad is like, multiple myeloma ni nini? So we are like, hata sisi, we don't know, but we are tunataka kujua. Tunataka kujua multiple myeloma ni nini. So of course, go online. And then that's when, boom!
Online tells you everything the way it is.
Yes, here it is. So of course we went through it, and then we were like, whoa, okay, both of us are exhausted. Actually past midnight. So you can imagine we've been up and about since around 9 in the morning. So we are both exhausted, mentally, physically.
But still you have to know what is happening.
Yes. So actually we just decided, you know what? Let's sleep. Wake up in the morning, then now know from this point what is going on. Then
go back to your usual business, which was just the hospital.
Yes. So crazy, that's where crazy starts. I'll say that's where crazy starts. That's when now we discovered multiple myeloma is actually, it's a cancer. It's a rare blood cancer now. That's so now this is when now we are getting, and my cue, don't forget, like we're saying, we're getting it online because nobody has actually told from May up to this point now. This is mid-October. Nobody has been able to identify what it is. So she's been having cancer all this time, and we didn't realize it's cancer. So everything that she's been having pointed to this, but nobody could pinpoint.
I don't know if it's ignorance we have, or I don't know what it is.
No, okay, at that time is when it really hit me. We never really go for checkups. I think most people believe when you go to the hospital is when you get sick. But I think in this case, something came up. There's an age that you get to, I think it becomes important for you to be having these checkups. Because if mom had gone to hospital, or if she had a medical checkup prior, actually we would have been able to identify this. We would have been able to pick this.
Even before, when she should have pains in the back and just use painkillers.
Yes, exactly. So actually this would have come up. But now because she ignored it, so she's been using painkillers, and then of course everybody else is like, you know. So nobody really takes it seriously. For me, everything, I think, I don't know, stopped and then started.
The start had started.
Yes.
The happen was happening.
So everything is
beginning was beginning,
and ending is ending, all in one basket.
Everything.
So everything has to happen.
Wow.
Everything has to happen, and you can't stop it. You can't stop it. So it is in that basket you pick whatever you're picking for that particular day.
Whatever is beginning is running. You have to chase it.
You have to chase it. Because now, first of all, I know I have to explain back home what she's ailing from and make them understand. And don't forget, me mwenyewe, I don't even understand what she's suffering from.
And you know, at times we don't accept.
For me, I think for me it was a bit different. You see, when I took her to hospital, because I took her a couple of times.
You were there with her?
With her. When the doctors were explaining, like I could pick, but from a distance. But it's only that they're not telling you this is it.
And it's because you were there.
Yes. So imagine this person who's not there, and then you're trying to explain to them what she's suffering from.
So before even them understanding, and after understanding, accepting now, and they know their aunt or
their mother, their cousin
has been healthy all this time.
Exactly. I don't know. I would say sometimes doctors need to know how to talk. I don't know, communicate. I don't know, because now by the time we're getting her to Kenyatta, now don't forget we have results from the 2 facilities where she's been, you know. So when I presented the results to the doctor, he actually looked at the results, and then he's like, do you know what your mom is suffering from? I was like, yeah, it's multiple myeloma, but please explain to me as a lay person, you know. Yes, I know what is there, but I know what's online.
And know how to prepare yourself for it.
Exactly. So I'm like, what is it? What is this?
Yes.
So it's like, that's cancer. Basically, typically it's cancer. So in my head, I was like, okay, so at what stage are we at?
Chemo radiation,
like, where are we? What do we do? And don't forget, this is the first day in Kenyatta University, teaching referrals. So the guy is like, before we even proceed, the first thing I want us to do radiotherapy. I'm like, whoa, why? He's like, it's advanced, we need to save something, and we need to save her spinal cord. Because by this time, she's really having severe back pains. You can't move her, you can't even lift her. You lift her, she's in pain, you know.
Any movement
was, it was very painful. So the doc was like, can you guys sort it out? We start with radio. And I think I really have to appreciate Kenyatta University Teaching and Referral, because the doctor was really prompt. That's one thing. And started dealing with it immediately, because you can imagine with day one, he's already recommended radio, he's already pushed for the treatment to start, you know. And interestingly, by the time they were finishing the radio, because they had 10 sessions, actually she was no longer having the back pains.
Before even you finish, how was she improving? First session, second session? How
okay, first session, of course, the body responded. Actually, initially she responded. Because now, remember, we had said she was not talking. So, but now, after the first 2 sessions, she's actually talking. She's able to sit upright. In fact, at some point, they were even doing physio for her. She could walk around.
You want to say when she talked, when you were transferring her from one hospital to another, then she didn't talk again?
Again, yes. She didn't talk for a few days. Yeah, for a few days. Then after that,
after the radio then?
She, actually not even, when the radio started, the first 2 sessions, and she was talking. She's talking. She's able to feed herself, you know. She's able to feed herself. Basically she's able to move kidogo. You could lift her and she would not feel as much pain, you know. She's not really in pain. So, and that's when I actually asked the doctor, so what is radiotherapy doing to whatever is happening to her? And then he was like, chemo is a bit general when you're dealing with cancer, because it covers the entire body. But when you're doing radio treatment, it actually targets the specific cells. And you see, for multiple myeloma, now here we are talking about the bone marrow. So radio was actually targeting the bone marrow.
Where it's coming from.
Yes. So it's actually trying to sort it out from the source, you see. So we're like, okay, this is good progress, you know. So of course the doctor was like, yeah, let's see how it goes, you know. And I was like, fine. So she proceeded with the treatment. Here we are in November now, because now it's October, November. Now for me, I literally had to drop everything. You had to drop.
Now you're in full time.
Literally, I became a doctor. I remember.
You were a caregiver.
Yeah, I remember a friend of mine actually called me, and he was like, "What are you still doing in Nairobi? Have you become the doctor?" And I was like, no, from the situation that is here, there's no way I can live alone. She's out far away from home.
There's no
one near. Okay, yes, we have relatives in Nairobi, but they would come in once in a while.
But there was need
for somebody to be there throughout, you know. I would wake up in the morning, take breakfast, go to the hospital. I would leave the hospital in the evening. Come back, try to unwind, go back tomorrow. But now, I would say this was really a roller coaster. Because you get to the point whereby everything in your life has stopped.
Everything.
And then for her, today we are okay, today we are talking, tomorrow you go in, she doesn't want to see you. She doesn't want to eat the food you is being given. So I had to balance myself with whatever she was going through.
You had to make sure that you were okay to handle
her. Yes.
When you appear before her,
I had to be fine, you know. I had to be strong for her. Yes. I also kept in touch with the doctors, of course, to know what the progress was. Initially, okay, the ward that she was taken to, it was basically a general cancer ward. So she stayed there, I think, for 2-3 days or so. Then the next time I'm coming back, I'm being told she's been transferred. So I'm like, okay, so
to
where? Yeah.
Not cause the transfer.
Exactly. So of course I was directed to the ward. I went, met the doctor. Coincidentally, it's the same doctor who received her on the first day.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, why the transfer? So it's like, well, your mom's, whatever she's suffering from is quite advanced. So we have to handle it from this other end, because here she needs to be monitored through and through. So of course I asked the question that we all ask when you hear you have a cancer patient. At what stage are we?
Eco stage.
Exactly. Of course I was not given a straight answer. I was not given a straight answer. So I just told her, you're still doing tests? We'll tell you. I think at that time, in fact, even in my research, I had not realized it had only 3 stages. I had not realized that.
It seems the doctors know what they are saying.
Yeah, no,
but because they know they are saying you don't know, they don't want to
tell you. Exactly.
That is why I say most of us, I don't know, Africans or Kenyans, we don't accept. Ni kama tunaingia into denial. You know?
Yes.
You hear mtu kuna cancer, you don't want to accept it.
Yes.
You go directly to denial.
To denial, exactly. And you always like, Mungu yuko.
Yeah,
actually, now that's atapona. Okay. I'm not really against all that, faith and all that. But sometimes I would rather you keep quiet than tell me something. Now, the reason why I'm saying this, with whatever we went through with her, it got to a point, you would have somebody, they would come and they would be like, all is well. But you were here. You were seeing it. You know what is really going on. So sometimes I would rather just come and say, tell me pole, and leave it at that. You know, don't go.
Don't try to bring your expertise inside here.
Because by the trust me, I had doctors across the board. You know, I'm here with the patient.
You were the caregiver.
Yes, so
the primary caregiver.
Day in, day out. And don't forget, this thing has started all the way from May.
Yes.
So it's only that it has now hit us.
And it is when now you're telling everybody.
Yes.
Because it is serious.
It is serious. So, and this is the time now that I started realizing there are things we ignored prior, maybe which if we had known, maybe we would have been able to counter earlier on, because this particular type of cancer is so rare that most people will not even be able to pick it up.
Yes.
So in fact, the first person who picked it up is actually a doctor who hinted to me. He's actually the one who told me, I think your mom has multiple myeloma. But then he was like, hey, but don't tell anyone, because we have to do the bone marrow test to confirm.
I'm not sure.
Yes. But it was
even the doctors don't have experience with it.
With it, exactly.
Yeah.
And in fact, when I was at Kenyatta University teaching, that's what I also came to realize, because when I was even talking to the doctors, they were like, this is so rare.
They don't get to learn about
it. Exactly. So here is mom. So today we are here, tomorrow we are there. By the time we were getting around mid-November, I noticed some changes. So all of a sudden, today she's not talking, tomorrow she's talking. She appears confused, she doesn't want this. Actually, it got to a point, she stopped eating. Now they had to blend her food for it to become liquid, so that actually we could spoon feed her, you know. And then because cancer, of course, makes you lose appetite. So she basically had little appetite. So now I'm struggling, because even talking to her sometimes is a bit difficult. So actually, sometimes I'll just go there and give her stories. They just talk to her, general things and all that. Should get her visitors, of course, they'll come, talk, kidogo and then all that. By the time we're getting to mid of November, things are...
Before that, how were her visitors? Because I can imagine there are these visitors from, we've had, you know, church members or people from home or family. They knew her as a person who never got sick.
Yes. So
all of a sudden, so-and-so is sick, let's go visit her.
Well, I can tell you from the experience I had that time, well, for some people it was crazy. Some people couldn't... Okay, when they are with her, they had to be strong and all that. But the moment they get out of the ward, this person breaks down. For some of them, actually, I remember, like when she was taken to Kenyatta University teaching, before she got there, I think 2 weeks prior, there are some of her friends who had come to see her at home. You know, when they came to Kenyatta University teaching to see her, actually one of them just came in and he went into shock, composed himself. As I'm moving around talking to the nurses and the doctors, he followed me out and he was like, is it this bad? I'm like, yeah, it is this bad. Because here is a scenario where you left somebody talking and walking.
Yes.
So here is somebody who's bedridden. And you know, even at one point, actually towards the end of November, at one point she was put on oxygen.
She couldn't even breathe.
Couldn't even breathe on her own. Yeah. Most people say when you have a sick person, you become sicker than the patient. So for me, I think
you handle everything.
Yeah.
And everyone.
Yes. So for me, I think I became sick until now. I got better.
That motto,
yeah. Okay, actually for me, this was a personal decision that I made. I decided I'm not going to tell her what she's suffering from.
Because she was still positive.
No, she was. She was, because we would sit and she would be like, oh, nataka tukirudi nyumbani, I want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, so can you organize, blah, blah, blah. So actually we were always talking shop with her. I want to go do this, so can you start organizing this? So those times when she was coherent, we would discuss quite a lot, you know. So for her, she knew she was getting out.
Her dreams still.
Yes, it was valid. She knew she was going to get better at the end of it all. Then, towards the end of November, things took a drastic turn now. So now here we are. We finished the radiotherapy because she had 10 sessions. Now we are at a point where we cannot do anything. I think they told us we need to give her 2 weeks to see how she's gonna, the body is gonna respond. So after the 2 weeks, now she can come for chemo. So now actually the plans that were at hand were she stays here, stabilizes completely. Then we get her, we look for a facility, wherever it would have been.
Home care
or anything. We get out of the hospital, then monitor her, and then now initiate the chemo sessions. It's at this period that things really turned around.